and welcome to the Forward Unto Dawn podcast, the show about the story and universe of the Halo franchise. I'm joined by my usual co-host, Danny. This is episode 41, and we're recording this just after the Xbox showcase on June 13th, 2021, in case you forgot what year it was. I guess first, before we get into the actual Halo stuff, there was a bunch of other stuff, Danny. Anything catch your eye?
Was there? I didn't really know. Was there something else going on that wasn't Halo?
Not for the most part. There was a ton of Bethesda games. There was Age of Empires 4. I'm excited about that. There's a Plague Tale sequel. Excited about that. We are in the era of licensed tie-ins because Top Gun is coming to Flight Simulator. Pirates of the Caribbean is coming to Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, was that actually him? Was that like him or an impersonator?
Same with it really sounded like they got Bill Nye and some of the other guys too. So that's interesting.
Okay. I'm just surprised people are willing to give that guy money and support that these days. But you do you, Xbox. Yeah,
it's Pirates. Who else are they gonna get? If you cared about Forza, there was a lot of Forza stuff.
Oh, holy shit, the photogrammetry involved in that Forza stuff was just, mind-blowing. The lighting alone just, I could just feel being there. Just how they captured the grittiness and murkiness of the UK in their last Forza game. They really captured sort of like down in the dumps atmosphere of the UK almost perfectly. And I think they kicked up a notch. Like, holy shit, the games look awesome these days.
I think that's probably one of the reasons they focused on it so much, because it's like their big graphics title.
So we should return to things we weren't impressed by. So
yeah, but then halfway through,
back to Halo.
Before Diablo and after Battlefield, we got Halo stuff. In the only, by my reckoning, because this is something I do at gaming and tech events, I always check how many people have tucked versus untucked shirts. And we got one person with a French tuck. Mostly it was untucked, but Bonnie was there with a tucked-in shirt with Joe.
You know, I was expecting them to place Halo slightly, I don't know, somewhere more interesting during the show. Not maybe at the start, maybe at the end, because it's one of those big crowd. Well, it used to be one of those big crowd pleasers. You know what I mean? So it felt weird. It was just slotted in. It's like, here's our latest thing, and our latest thing. Here's more Game Pass. Here's Halo. Here's Forza. What? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Didn't really seem like their most important pillar. Once upon a time, Halo would have been like the centerpiece of the entire showcase.
I just don't feel that. Because they started out with like Todd Howard coming out. It did not feel like it was organized in a like, we're gonna start with our strongest thing or end with our strongest thing.
Yeah. Can I note as well that despite the recent leaks about the Halo TV series, the trailer apparently has been leaked, and there's some juicy, spicy stuff going on in that. People might have been expecting the Halo TV show to make an appearance because, executive E3, they're going to bore you to death about some kind of licensing deal with some network and some transmedia bullshit, right? No, this time there was no, we're transmedia, we're like Star Wars, honest, look at us, please, look at our license and IP. No, this time it was just, here's the game.
Yes, halfway in an awkward, random spot, but we did get Halo. We got Bonnie and Joe came out. Like they really just showered Joe with crazy amounts of like the visionary Halo guy.
He is Mr. Halo. Apparently, he invented Halo. He created Halo in his spare time, and he made Halo.
He made ODST, fan favorite, whatever.
And he made more than one Halo because he was that great. Yep. Mm-hmm. He made all of the favorite Halos, none of the bad ones, only the good ones. He made only the good ones. And he's here because the new one's good too.
And but the surprise for me was I expected that really if we got anything, we would just get like for the campaign, we just get like a quick sizzle reel kind of thing or a tease at the end. But we actually got
Can I just say, having Joseph Staten on stage and not do a damn thing with a controller
Missed
or
opportunity.
play the game in any kind of way was such a wasted opportunity. Yeah, such a wasted opportunity. You literally had the guy. You had a big fucking green screen. Where's the problem?
We'll see
Where?
if that happens. But we do get quite some meaty campaign stuff, actually. The first part is not much happening.
Really? Do tell. Do tell what happened. I remember Master Chief was falling around in the dark quite a lot. You'll have to jog my memory.
Yeah, so I guess we get basically the extension of the Deliver Hope trailer. Instead of the giant white void outside, it's just the blackness of space. And Chief jumps out. He's arguing with the pilot. He flies around. It reminded me a lot of the zero-G sequence at the end of Mission Dawn in Halo 4, where you're just kind of floating around. He gets more ammo, pounds around, and I guess then at the end he ends up on a banished ship, and presumably that's the start of gameplay.
I'm sure it's just it's a tutorial. It's a press the stick up. Oh, well done. Press this. Oh, well done. You're good at this. Press more buttons. It feels like that.
I'll be actually amazed if they do that, because that feels like such a games of 10 plus years ago thing, that you actually do all those intro things. I don't even know if they, because I don't think they do that in Halo 5 or whatever. They don't really make you do that. I guess they have you look up to open the pod in Halo 4, but there's not that much involved.
There's more subtle ways you can handle it and integrate it these days. I wouldn't put it past them, but if they straight up wanted to just throw that at you to familiarize and give some fans some comfort and maybe just to ease the worries in, because one thing I got from this reveal was they're trying to cater to the casual audience, as it's always been called. The not regular Halo player. They want to familiarize people and they announce some things to do with that as well.
And we definitely get a hint of how that impacts the story with the next scene, which takes place, I don't know, sometime later. It's a Forerunner backdrop, not Banished or UNSC. And we get another Cortana, new Cortana, who is specifically called the Weapon. So everyone gets titles now except for Master Chief, which I guess is also a title technically. So we know no one's name.
He's still the demon. He's still the demon to some people. Okay.
Well, Master Chief Petty Officer. That's a title too, rank title, something like that. And well, actually, I should say when Chief is floating around in space, we do get a line from quote unquote Cortana, like basically, I need you to understand. If you knew you were going to die, what would you do with your life? Stuff that I think, in contrast to new Cortana, is definitely supposed to be old Cortana talking. And I have to hand it to Jen Taylor. She does a very good job, along with the new design they give the weapon, at emphasizing this is a different character. Like she pitches her voice up. It definitely sounds younger. And just how she responds is very un-Cortana-like in some ways.
I'd imagine the nuances that go into differentiating the characters is something the actress works very hard on. Like it's evident from how effortless it looks on screen, and you just hear the characters and you know they're distinct. You know, you don't have to be sold on it, but you still know.
She does a good old person voice for Halsey too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to see Jen Taylor. Halo would not be the same without the regular voice actors. That's for sure.
Yeah. And so then we get an exchange back and forth between Master Chief and the weapon, which introduces a lot of questions. And I've already seen people upset because they are afraid that they have killed Cortana in the opening cutscene, a la like Jewel Dama or something.
This is worse. This is Jewel times 10.
Poochie died on the way to his home planet, kind of thing.
Yeah, this is worse. Think about it, right? Just think about it. If you're just a casual Halo fan, you remember the whole Cortana bullshit drama vaguely, right? You remember it. You remember she became the big bad. You remember it. And you're going into this game and it's like, right, she's dead, and moving on. What?
Yeah.
What?
I think, and especially reading between the lines, and also in Joe Staten's Xbox Wire post, which we'll link to, he says specifically, we are continuing the story of the Master Chief and Cortana from Halo 5, but also telling a story that's welcoming for new players. Cortana's fate is one of Infinite Campaign's big mysteries, and early on to the story, you'll meet a new UNSC AI, the weapon, in quotes, that was created to help stop Cortana. Together with the pilot, the Master Chief, and the weapon begin an epic adventure to explore Zeta Halo. Maybe Cortana is dead, but she's very much going to be present. It's not like they're kicking her out.
Well, the dialogue in the cutscene, is the mission. Whatever the mission was, she was the mission was in the mission. Oh, for fuck's sake, that's a great name now. The new AI delivers the lines like the mission was carried out, her role was complete, and basically she was expecting to be terminated at the end, the successful end of the mission, and she wasn't. And the other important point of the mission was containing Cortana and then getting her deleted. And Master Chief was going to be doing like the final relay part of that mission of delivering Cortana to the Infinity for that purpose.
And he apparently did not do that. And so
that's he doesn't remember doing it. Yeah. That's the mystery. Something happened
like,
at that part of the mission.
Didn't do it, who did? Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. And where is Cortana now? Is she still deleted? Did someone free her? What's going on there? I'm sure that's a big deal. I don't think
she's actually dead yet. Or if she is dead, it's going to be a whole thing that happens.
Well, someone's taunting Chief in the cutscene. Someone's taking the piss out of him, and it's not.
Well, and that's the classic tradition of 343. I have no idea when and where this over on screen dialogue was supposed to take place. So who knows?
Yeah, at some moments when watching it, it did feel very nostalgic,
echoey, and like he's remembering something.
Yeah, it felt very nostalgic, like he was remembering a different moment, a different version of himself in a different moment of time, basically. And it's
a lot of people were expecting, I think, including us, that they were going to tie into the Halo 4 bit, where Cortana's like talking about they can make another version of me, but of course it won't be me. And then in Shadows of Reach, we went back to Reach to pick up some of them Halsey brain clones to presumably make this new Cortana. But specifically, her role is to imitate Cortana, impersonate her, which begs the question of how do you do that, and who are you?
How do you impersonate the most powerful AI in the Halo universe?
What does impersonation mean? Who are you impersonating her for? Which opens up some questions too. So,
like, are you redirecting her forces? Are you miscommunicating some things?
Yeah.
Like, what's...
So that's we don't really have much to go on for there, but it's definitely interesting. See, I mean, I get where people are freaking out because 343 definitely has a track record of like, I would say overreacting to criticism and then ping-ponging between extremes. So I understand the people who are afraid that they have killed Cortana off screen. But I think at this point, it's more likely that it's just going to be a major point, and having it as a mystery is their way of making it more approachable to new players.
I think there's genuine concern from folks wondering if Cortana's going the way of Agent Locke.
Oh yeah, Agent Locke has been replaced.
Yes, literally an off-screen, behind-the-scenes, between-the-sequels replacement of a major character.
Well, we don't know yet.
We don't know. That was just established in the previous game. I'm saying, you give people credit. They aren't pants for nothing. They have very good reasons for soiling on themselves, I'd say.
But it looks great. You get the really nice touch of Chief powering through stuff, and then he just kind of gingerly sets aside the dead UNSC troopers as he loots their corpses.
Was he having a human moment at that point? It's like, come on, you see a billion of these corpses? Come on, just grab the fucking gun and go. I was like, was that like a weird, slowy sort of per human, per dead person? Thank you for gun.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that's all we get for campaign.
I know, right? Like the campaign's obviously done and finished and polished. Come on, show us a bit more.
We got more than what I expected, so I was happy about that. We got.
Well, notable what we didn't get from last time. We didn't get like a massive close up of an enemy for some reason.
Yes, a
We did not
slightly
get any
too
close ups of
close up
enemies.
of our enemy. Um,
Hmm.
and I mean, together those work better, just because I know a lot of people were concerned with the previous E3 showing that, oh yeah, we're just gonna ignore the created entirely and it's just gonna be banished all day, every day. But so this is reassuring in that
And
way.
even then, it's like a hint of banished. It's like a hint of banished. Like today was definitely a hint of the enemy forces rather than actually showing them
Mm-hmm.
like at all. Honestly, it felt like a very sharp contrast to last year's trailer. It's typical of
Well,
three.
Craig isn't yet ready for his
Yeah,
close
it's
up.
almost very typical of 343's reactionary kind of behavior. Like they played it overly safe this time. They didn't want to risk the backlash, and all of the sort of content choices seem to be particularly safe. Like these elements that they showed this time, they weren't really in contention last time either.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So everything this time is 100% safe. So it's interesting.
Yeah. But then Joe came back on screen to talk about multiplayer. Um, and here we got a trailer or whatever.
They're almost trying to separate it from the campaign. Do you notice? Like they're almost trying to make it stand
They
alone.
definitely were hitting the. I mean, with everything, they were hitting dropping on Game Pass day one or whatever, and they were definitely hammering home the Halo is free to play now, the multiplayer. So play the multiplayer, and then they have it side by side the campaign, uh, and just the styling was obviously very separate. And in this trailer, they actually it sounds like it's still kind of war games uh, simulation kind of stuff for the explanation of the lore side. But and the companion article they released on Halo Waypoint kind of goes into this, that they've retuned it in a way, once again focusing on new players, making it accessible. We've got basically Spartan School, the academy, for the fiction, and that ties into, hey, you can do practice matches with multiplayer bots.
Now, if you're unfamiliar with the legacy of Halo's multiplayer, bots bots are a big thing. Like they've never been in Halo before, so it's a really big deal.
A old PC thing slash games like Titanfall, that kind of sort of thing. It's new for Halo, entirely new, so that's super cool. Um, and I think that's also a smart idea, just because I mean there are the people who just would rather play PVE kind of stuff, and bots are a way of breaking them in without getting into the super sweaty multiplayer stuff where someone's screaming about doing things to your mom.
It also facilitates. This is going to be a bit silly, but just trying to think outside the box. But something I know will can happen. I can see like machinima. Like they don't need actors anymore. You know what I mean? They now can throw bots around the place. It's crazy sounding, but you know it's going to fucking happen. You know what I mean? Like the Halo community feels really empowered whenever the devs give them a robust toolset, and what's indicated here in terms of the sandbox seems very robust
Yeah.
and very Halo 3. There's a very heavy focus on equipment again.
Yeah, so that's the big gameplay thing, I guess. Is they're bringing back equipment, or they specifically reference, hey, like Halo 3. And we get two new pieces. Um, one is the threat sensor, so it's sort of like a area of effect deployable Promethean vision. Sounds like, uh, gives you an indication of where people are, visual indication. And then we get the repulsor, which we get to see in briefly. Basically allows someone to bounce a potential noob combo back at someone, and that's cool. So
Yeah.
basically, it's like, hey, we learned the issues of Promethean vision and armor lock and have made them better, as they should have been in the first place.
One of the best things about Armor Lock was actually trying to time time the moments, you know what I mean? So you would get those extra effects, you might even reflect projectiles. Having that as a skill-based option sounds fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was always my complaint with Armorlock, was that you could just hold it down. Like if it was something where you've got 1 second to deploy this properly, I think people would have been less annoyed. It would have felt less cheap because it would be something you could easily do yourself, and how you
Yeah.
timed it mattered.
Oh, and speaking of skill, they also confirmed skill-based matchmaking. I just want to take a little moment to be very happy about
It's
that
kind of sad that we
because
have to be concerned about that, but yeah.
yeah, it is absolutely sad that we had to be concerned about it, but my recent multi-year long experience with Destiny 2 in particular has
Ugh.
shown me the devastating impact that removing skill-based matchmaking can have on my particularly favorite kind of experiences. And I have big hopes for BTB. It's one of my favorite experiences going back to the Halo 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that this game has a big BTB element and still retains skill-based matchmaking for just for the more dynamic, smaller scale encounters. But even with BTB, I'm just happy. Like this is would be my wish list feature. You know what I mean? Especially these days, where a lot of games are celebrating their lack of skill-based matchmaking on the internet. There's a lot of misunderstanding because the terms aren't appropriately used or described, and people just make assumptions and generalizations because of, say, the gameplay rather than the game itself, rather than the actual systems used. Because I don't know, I'm just sick of the Call of Duty style. Everyone gets a turn at thrashing people, and you sit through a couple of games of getting thrashed -20, and then you get your +40 game, and then you repeat that cycle of 2 bad games for 1 good game, and it's just, ugh, it's just not fun.
Yeah.
But
Um,
that's a big indicator to me that the multiplayer will be, for me at least, something long term that I can get my teeth into.
mm-hmm. And I definitely think it's it's a good sign, I think, that they spent like all this time focusing on, hey, accessible to new players, and it doesn't feel like I don't have my hackles up, like, oh god, this is gonna ruin everything. Um, like giving people the training mode and like a practice range and stuff. Like, I'm not concerned
Yeah,
about
they're
that.
they're very accommodating.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're very accommodating to new players in particular, but my concern would be for new players, people who don't know anything about Halo. Like there was nothing seen today that would turn someone's head. You know what I mean? Like why care? You know what I mean? Like Halo is in a very saturated market these days. That's a million different miles away from the landscapes of even Halo 5, never mind earlier entries. I'm worried that in terms of mainstream, like mainstream these days means like Fortnite. It means like Call of Duty, like that sort of cultural shift in like the numbers playing the game and people being aware of it. And I don't see the potential there for people to have their heads turned by it. It just looks like more awesome Halo, which is fine for us. Like we're going to be catered for the entire time, but
Yeah.
is this enough to hit that mass
Well,
marketplace
they're
that where Halo needs to be
they're
to be
definitely
successful? You know what I mean?
emphasizing uh some stuff, that like how you have the nature of the changing landscape of games. One of the big changes we get is red versus blue is sort of kind of dead. Um,
I know, right?
so
Yeah.
they've focused on customization, and like as this is going free to play, that makes sense. Uh, so we get it was actually, I think it's definitely a the Spartans look good. It definitely is Reach inspired. We get a lot of classic helmets and outfits. Although,
Well, season one is a Reach theme season, so it makes sense to showing off the season one content
well,
along with
and
it. Essentially, since we'll be starting off with it all.
in case people weren't following, yes, like they definitely MCC's recent seasons have been trial runs for Infinite in terms of how they're going to deal with that stuff. And they also specifically mentioned like, hey, there's even more stuff customization wise that is going to be coming. And one of the things that we see specifically is personal AIs. So I guess kind of going from Halo 5's multiplayer announcers. Steitzer's still in for the arena. They specifically mentioned Jeff Steitzer as the multiplayer announcer. But it sounds like that'll be another area of customization, which, as someone who really loved running around with Exuberant Witness or Buck in multiplayer, I am happy to see that.
Why not? You're always going to have your iconic Halo announcer guy. Jeff's job is secure as, you know what I mean? So why not just give people more options? Like, no one's going to not want him. You know what I mean? Like, he has to be there. So why not? Like, I don't mind more options, especially if it gives me a reason to go to do a challenge or whatever, you know what I mean? And something to grind for the season, like, or even something to purchase outright, whatever the fuck it is, set it up and put it in front of me and I'll devour it, like, happily.
And speaking of people possibly killed off screen, I have less concern about Cortana, more about Palmer, because
Jesus.
Our new updates are coming from Commander Larette, a new character we have not heard from before.
Wait, Lasky? Is Lasky like an admiral or something these days? Like, that dude's just been fast promoted up the ranks. And
how many people they
there's
got
probably
left?
Not many ranks left. I was going to say, there's not got many people left, so he's probably like an admiral or something.
I mean,
these
if
days.
You're in charge of Infinity,
Admiral Lasky,
you kind of are de facto leader from all we know.
So world president, sorry, galactic president Lasky, where is he?
Yeah, so leading to what we were talking about, BTB, you got Warzone in my BTB, you got BTB in my Warzone.
Hey, I don't mind. Warzone was good flavoring. Like, I didn't really find the mode that appealing, but I loved the flavoring of it. Like, it was just, it added something around the edges that needed to be there, and I think doing that for BTB in any sort of capacity is going to feel awesome, like thematically awesome.
So we get, they have, so, and yeah, it does definitely feels like BTB just taking stuff from Warzone and refining it. You got 24 players. They get like weapon ordnance and stuff, and pelicans drop in things. So yeah, it definitely sounds sort of like they're mixing them up. And we're gonna get more details on that specifically later this summer. And they, yeah, like you said, with the season stuff, we are gonna get limited time seasonal events, which I'm interested in seeing about, because we've had like limited time playlist, but seasonal events, once again, like Fortnite and games like that, that's a big thing now. And I'm super happy about, because definitely the main reason I often play games like Dota 2 now is the limited event stuff.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, absolutely, there is an audience just for those kinds of things, and they make a ton of money during those times. So who's complaining? If you just have those types of players. But I was almost, by the way, I was tempted to log into Fortnite to get that Master Chief skin when it was popping, because it's Master Chief, damn it. And I barely even play Fortnite. But I wanted it. You know, I wanted the damn thing. I'm hoping that actually they didn't talk about the rec system or whatever's going to replace the rec system from Halo 5. I'm very interested in the actual microtransactional sort of setup and arrangement.
Yeah, so
since it is like a fully free to play title now, like the gloves are off. I want to see how they're monetizing it and how they're going to support it.
Yeah, so they mention about the seasons. Each season will feature a new assortment of customization pieces and components that can be earned by gameplay, challenges, events, and purchase. And they specifically underline there will be no loot boxes or elements of chance if you decide to purchase an optimal customization item. So I guess it's going to be basically you grind, or you can buy it for a small price outright, which I feel like is the best of both worlds.
I was going to say, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah. Some people ain't got the time nice to spend for that thing.
No, that's a fair system. Like, I always get pissed off when you get like even like gacha systems whenever it's luck, because that's bullshit. You know what I mean? If you're sitting there waiting 2 hours for your luck turnarounds, it's literally not your fault.
I am slightly concerned about how they didn't show it in these trailer. How the outline thing is going to work, because there's no red versus blue now. I don't want to be like killed by someone because I can't figure out if they're not on my team. So I'm hopeful that's.
I'm hoping I get a red versus blue outline setup.
Well, it would be great if you could just straight up toggle it at the very least for like tournament play or arena stuff.
I am worried about the fact that whenever you get a bunch of these new Spartans together, you can't really tell them apart.
Yeah.
You don't know who's on what team doing what. And that's a visual part of Halo's language that's big foundational. It's always been there, and it's been hyper reliable in every title.
Yeah.
So it's completely absent here. It's
going to definitely throw me.
And I'm wondering,
if people are running around like I'm on red team and the enemy players are all red. Like some of these screenshots, that's going to really throw me.
Yeah, like they really need to make sure they get that right. Like you can't just lose a visual asset like that without being really fucking sure and confident of whatever you're replacing it with. You know what I mean? I hope they are.
They mentioned specifically is that you can customize the friend or foe thing. They're configurable for accessibility purposes, and whatever colors you assign will match the scoreboard, team bases, and team flags. So
I have to say that's a very Microsoft thing to support accessibility these days. It just seems to be like a corporate head downwards approach, which I can fully get behind, by the way. Accessibility all the way. No, like, fuck off artistic vision. No, it has to be dark and you can barely see it. No, fuck off.
Yeah, having more options.
I'm very happy with
definitely
this.
Better, especially if they're going to go this way. Yeah, and so we did get some other minor things. I think some of the stuff we had gotten before, but we get them all in one place. Xbox Series X, you get 120 frames per second. And they reiterated, PC players get lots of toggles, and split screen is going to be available on local play. Yay. And cross-play and cross-progression. So, Microsoft 2021 game.
Am I going to miss out on split screen play because I'm on PC? Is that going to be a thing? Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, they did.
I'm so sad.
Split screen on Xbox and LAN play via PC local server. So...
why do they keep doing that? Every fucking game almost that has split screen just decides to fuck it in the bum for the PC release. Like, the code's there. Just fucking make it work.
Mm-hmm.
But no, most games just go, no, split screen. Yeah, you're on PC. Why would you want to waste your screen real estate with other people? Come on, you're better than that.
Yeah, so we get, and there's a bunch of screenshots of the prettiness, and there are definitely ones where it looks like Halo 3.5 in terms of aesthetic, especially since everyone's running around with like CQB armor and stuff like that. We got some deserty.
Am I complaining? Am I complaining? Smile on my face the entire time here.
All the interesting is all the Covenant vehicles are all banished style, so they're all red and gray. We didn't see any Covenant stuff, but I assume.
It sounds like we're taking a break from the Kobe style and the sleek purple hues and circular surfaces.
Maybe. I feel like it's definitely one of those things, given the infinite time scale, we're going to get that stuff, especially since it sounds like a lot of the customization will extend to vehicles and other stuff on the maps that you can equip.
Well, I'm sure they got to be planning out season passes for 4 or 5 seasons down the line, so you're probably 100% right.
And if there is a way to get the Halo 1 to Halo 3 style Banshee back instead of these dumb Reach ones that we've gotten since, I might plank the money for that. I'll never forget the Halo 4 concept art for getting me momentarily excited that we were getting classic Banshees back, and then nope. Yeah, but there's
some people really do take Banshees seriously. Oh, I can appreciate it.
That's my dumb esoteric pick for things I unreasonably care about. But we get like a desert foreignery, sand trappish Zanzibar vibe thing. We've got a urban Counter-Strike / turf Mombasa kind of looking one.
I have to say, seeing looking at some of these screenshots in the particularly higher res that they're taken in, some of these blue sky multiplayer maps are giving me certain vibes, man. I have to say.
Yeah, that looked nice. And
there's definitely certain vibes.
It's nice too that we get like 2, I would say, more throwback to classic maps, and then we also get a more 343 human industrial interior map. But there's variety there. which is good to hear.
Any hazarded guesses at the multiplayer maps? Anything familiar? Did you spot?
I did not, but I was not necessarily looking for like classic
I
maps.
thought
or
one of
stuff.
them looks like that. Yeah, one of them kind of looks like that Halo 2 islandy map with the big long
Relic.
Forerunner structure on it.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
that.
I think.
Um,
But it's so hard to tell. You know what I mean? It's such a weird angle where it could exactly be that map or nothing at all, and that's
I
just a
don't
tiny
think
portion of it.
any of them are actually a classic map, but that's definitely one of those things that you why bother? Because you can just release that later and people will freak the hell out. All right. If you can only get like 2 classic maps, which would you pick?
The Pit and Valhalla. 2 very securely safe.
Ugh.
Oh, I grew up at the Pit, okay? I grew up there.
I just never loved it. Well, it's like that and Lockout. I've just never understood the love for. They're fine, but I've never.
Well, the thing is, the Pit to me is the perfect mid-size map in terms of layout, map flow. It just works. Not for objective, just for Slayer, it works, I think. And it specifically works. I don't really like that map style and size generally, but like I say, it works for me.
I think I would go Turf, and then I don't know. I really liked. It's
Turf?
a shame that I never saw the Halo 5 version they added of Haven. I can't even remember the name because I rarely ever saw it in matchmaking. That was cool. I was a fan of that one too. But we'll see. I definitely assume they're gonna fill it out.
It just the Halo 4 and Halo 5 BTB experience just sort of merges in my head as a blob of disappointment.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing that Halo 4 BTB was insanely popular, even with stuff like spawning with plasma pistols, and yet they killed it for Halo 5. It'll always be kind of inscrutable to me. But now,
yeah, and they'll always be disappointed. Yeah, fundamentally disappointed.
Now we will get the best of both worlds. I think having one big team mode is probably best. And that's all we get now. By the time you listen to this, because we'll be releasing this on Monday, they're gonna do a actual gameplay, Halo Infinite gameplay presentation, not at the main show, but they're gonna have a presentation for more gameplay and insights from the team, and then later in the week we're gonna get cannon fodder on multiplayer stuff, maps, vehicles, armors, etc. And then there's going to be another Inside Infinite talking about Halo Waypoint for all those people, the 10 people who really care about that at the end of the week. So we might drop another podcast sooner rather than later. But I would say overall I was whelmed.
Yeah, I was trying to think about that myself.
More campaign content than I expected. Less multiplayer than I hoped for. But everything I saw was promising.
I wasn't overwhelmed and I wasn't underwhelmed, so particularly whelmed is how I would sum it up myself as well, actually.
Yeah, and we do have a recommitment that there's going to be this summer. It's coming out holiday this year. So if you were concerned that it was going to suddenly turn to 2022 or something, you can be rest easy. And we're going to get flighting this summer. So there will be a beta. I assume it's not going to be a Halo 3 style public beta kind of thing.
Who knows? They have all the tools in the world right now these days, so they can do anything they want with it. They could do multiples.
I haven't been doing any of the MCC insider stuff, and I still get flight updates for that. So I assume, really, if you want to, you can get in the program.
Well, let's hope. The more the merrier.
Yeah. So we will see what comes out the rest of this week, and what we have coming in the future for Infinite. Any last thoughts, Danny?
Just a chief tumbling around in the dark for like 10 seconds. 10 precious seconds. We could have... Oh my god.
No chief tumbling. Feedback from Danny.
Too much. Okay.
50% less chief tumbling.
Yes.
Or maybe that's something Chief Tumble Simulator.
Oh god. Oh, imagine a per QA guy has to replay the chief tumbling section over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think we're missing a QuickTime event right there. Lost opportunity.
So my heart goes out to the QA guys testing the Chief Tumbling right now, and we'll be testing the Chief Tumbling all the way up until release. So good luck.
All right, that wraps it up for this show. Thanks for joining us. Show notes and links for this episode, as well as articles and more, can be found on our website, forwardtodawn.com. You can subscribe to the podcast via iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or Stitcher. Check out our videos on YouTube at forwardtodawn.com/forwardtodawn, or follow us on Twitter for updates on all our content by following the handle @forwarddawn. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.